Hey, Dr. Allison here. I wonder if you feel like a full body yes is supposed to always be able to be perceived. I was just talking to my brother, one of them, and he's like talking to me about how he doesn't feel like he understands accurately what a full body yes is supposed to feel like. A full body yes, I think, is a really good social media meme, but it's not a practical guiding piece of wisdom on this path. Because there are times when you're hitting an initiation point, and there's two other aspects. Like an example is a woman or a man who has been an herbalist, a shaman, a healer, a witch, in many other lifetimes has spoken truth to power, and they may have been told by a reader or three that they've had past lives, or they've been burned at the stake or guillotined or hung as a witch, and not ever cleared it, or even thought that they had cleared it. So what I do calls up people's density. It's in part the brilliance of having the natural capacities I do, and having done this work as long as I have. My body, my system is like a flute, of somebody in an orchestra. It's really interesting. I've been on so many calls this week where people are like, "Oh my God, something's happening in my lower belly," and I'm like, "Yeah, we're talking about that blockage down in your sacral chakra, and so it's getting called up." So when I'm talking with somebody about their density, or about you were hung as a witch in a previous lifetime, you've been told that, yeah, and I've been guillotined too. Yeah, I was going to say that too. For example, I'm calling up the density. So the idea of working on that with that mentor may not be fully exciting, because the density is making itself known. The other dynamic that you could be feeling that doesn't feel all light and free and exciting and happy is your ego mind. It knows it's going to be going, if you're going to upgrade, up level, if you're going to go through this initiation and gain more soul power, you're going to have a bit more of an ego death. And the ego, like anything else, doesn't want to die. So when it's faced, I've seen this historically for decades, when it's faced with the idea of you gaining more soul empowerment, heart empowerment, higher self empowerment, more intuitive guidance, less mental only, in the head only, and intellectual concepts only, but actually living out with more divine presence and more soulful empowerment and soul force and intuitive guidance, it's a bit more of an ego death, and it's a level of initiation. And so the ego mind given to us to help us through the five senses navigate the physical plane that's actually full of metaphysical data, so we don't go crazy, and to keep us safe in the face of the unknown, it's also going to have some resistance if you're talking to somebody who can really get you beyond limiting patterns and break into more soul force. So I find that it's another one of those main areas of misunderstanding, like surrender is from the social media memes during this humanity spiritual awakening times, in this industry getting blown out of the water in great part with all that's being said on social media. The expectation that your yeses are always supposed to be light, and that if it is heavy, it's a no. That may be true in one specific context. If it's light, it's a yes. If it's heavy, it's a no. And I teach that context, but not in the overall applied to understanding if you want to, not if you want to, if it's in your highest and best to proceed down this path of where you're noticing discomfort, maybe even seemingly all of a sudden, or triggered by a mentor who you're talking to about the potential of working together. So the full body yes, yeah, that happens sometimes, but I want to caution you too, if you're talking with somebody in this industry where there's so many coaches and so many healers and so many people who do energy work, which I never say, it's energy medicine, it's a profession, it's a science, then you want to be having a feeling of being challenged, of some nervous excitement at the very least, and of actual whoa, but yeah, is really the best response, because then you're going to be changing and you're going to be evolving. If you don't feel any of that, and it is this total sense of woohoo, then it might not be indicative of you actually changing. Instead, it's honoring your comfort zone. So really getting to know your self-talk and your intuition and the way your intuition shows up. It's one of the offerings I'm going to be making increasingly. So keep your eyes peeled, because it's a super skill, as I just said yesterday in a post to my free Facebook group, Vibrational Upgrade. In the refinement of your understanding of intuition and intuitive faculties, and when to listen to certain types of feedback the intuition gives and different ways the intuition comes in. It's really going to be helpful now moving into these new times. Okay, I've got to run. More later. Namaste.